Time to wrap it up. Time to wrap it up. Time to wrap it up with T.I.J.
Oh my God, girl. Good
Yo,
job.
what up, everybody?
What's
Thanks
cracking?
for tuning in to another episode of Level Up with Gene and Jay.
LUP WGJ in the building.
Yes, sir. First and foremost, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, y'all.
2025, man. Big things about to crack off.
It's been interesting, for sure.
Indeed. So today, guys, we have a special guest. His name is Joe Davis.
Joe, what up?
Thank you for
Welcome,
being
man.
here, man. Joe's a poet, an artist, an educator.
Mm-hmm.
You teach wellness through the arts, right?
Absolutely. That's what it's all about.
Really dope. He's authored 3 books. We Rise Higher, Unearthing Us, and Remind Me Again. Actually, I made it about halfway through. I'll probably finish this today. Joe, thank you for being here,
Yeah, man. We
Yo.
appreciate it, man.
Thank you for having me, for real.
Yeah.
This is dope. I love the vibe.
Indeed. How you feeling,
I'm
man?
feeling excellent, man. There's this craziness in the world, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I feel grounded. I feel centered. I feel connected. So
That's
That's
what's
dope.
up.
You were
Yeah,
just saying, Gene, like, you know, in the world of just all this madness and the crazy stuff that happens, it's nice to have some positivity
Indeed.
heading everybody's way and everything. So I think just really, like, we like to crack it off, man. I mean, you're, like you said, you're an author, you're a poet. I mean, let's start from the beginning. Like, where did this all come from? How did this all come about?
yeah, so like when I was a kid, I always loved to write. My big sis, when she babysat me, she tried to find things to keep me occupied, keep me amused. So we would play games, we would like draw, make believe, all of that stuff. And then when I was at school, I would be writing these little love letters to the cutest girl on the playground.
Right,
You know,
right.
and like I joke and say, how my friends, they would say, "Oh, you gonna get cooties?" I said, "So what? I want to get cooties." Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like that was always my thing. I was known as a kid who was like writing and drawing all the time.
Yeah.
Always the best artist in my class. But then I got really sick in elementary school. Like actually, I passed out on the bathroom floor, was rushed to the emergency room, was hospitalized, and for several years throughout elementary school, some of middle school and high school, I was in and out of the hospital.
Okay.
Doctors couldn't really figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
It was like just a severe condition with my skin and my immune system, and just like white blood cell count plummeting. And
Wow.
I felt like they were experimenting on me. Like they didn't really know what to do.
Right,
But the
right.
point of it was that I had already developed this practice of writing.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was there, I just reached for the nearest thing I had for me, which was my notebook and my pen. I poured my heart and my soul into my writings. And so when I
okay.
couldn't talk to my parents or my teachers or my friends, I just wrote everything. And I didn't realize that at the time I was really crafting like a new reality for myself. I was digging deep into like my experience and processing it in ways that I couldn't do like externally.
Yeah.
And so I had this rich inner world, and I was like having this kind of healing experience through it.
Right.
And I thought that was just for myself. And then when I went back out into the community, I had teachers and mentors and folks were like, "Yo, you're a gifted writer. You should share this with the rest of the class." And I was like, "No, like, I ain't trying to share this with other people because I
Right.
didn't. You don't want to share something from that kind of sacred, like vulnerable space. Like, I mean, the fear of public speaking is one of the biggest fears we have in
is.
the world. You know what I'm saying? And so. Like I didn't know what people were gonna say, what they're gonna do. I thought they were gonna judge me, they were gonna make fun of me. And so for a while I didn't share. Actually, I was still pretty shy, pretty timid. But I had people in my life who believed in me.
And how old were you at this time?
So I was super sick when I was like in the 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. Right.
Okay.
Yep. And they started asking me to share around that time.
Right.
And so for a while I didn't. Right. Until like probably around like 5th, 6th grade, I like slowly started coming out of my shell. And I remember like the first time that I shared a piece in front of the classroom, and I was surprised because, like nobody threw a shoe at my head, like nobody,
No tomatoes.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody was trying to roast me. I had people come up to me who were my age, and they're like, "Yo, like respect, like I can relate to what you were saying."
That's
I felt
what's
that,
up,
and that shocked me because I used to think I was the only one who thought the way that I thought, or
Right.
the only one who felt the way that I felt. But the more that I shared, the more I realized I wasn't alone, and we all have struggles in our lives, But it took me like being vulnerable and sharing my story to realize that. And once I did that more, I was like, "Yo, this is kind of smooth. This is kind of dope. Like this is what I want to do."
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know I was gonna become an author, that I was gonna become a touring artist or anything like that. I just knew that I wanted to share my
Right.
story and connect with other people and talk about how we move through struggle to find like a sense of healing, sense of triumph, sense of just overcoming.
Yeah.
And so
Move
I think
through struggle. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah. And the only way we could do that is if we have these conversations, if we share from that place of vulnerability. And so like shout out to like, the mentors and the teachers of the world.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for them. They created that space for me. And so now that's what I do. I say I don't write for a living, I write for my life.
For your life.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because it healed me and I want to create the space for other people to find that healing too.
Were you raised by your mother and father?
I was, yeah. Super
what's
grateful.
up.
I know not everybody has that blessing, but yeah, both mom and pops are still here, still part of my life. And
Yeah, where are you from?
Yeah. So I was born in Minot, North Dakota.
I've heard about that place, man.
they'd be
People
like,
talk a
"Why
lot
not
of shit about
Minot?"
that place. Were you the only black guy there, man?
No, surprisingly, so my parents were stationed there as part of a military Air Force base. It's the largest missile base in the country.
Huh?
Yeah. So I was a military brat. Right, I've been to every state in the country, right? But I was in Minot, North Dakota, and we were part of this black community that was there in Minot, North Dakota.
Okay.
So I was kind of raised, and it was like two worlds, right? Because there is a large white population there as well, but a lot of black folks from all over the country were there in Minot because of the Air Force. So yeah.
And how much older than you is your sister?
7 years.
7 years
Yep,
older?
yep.
You guys got a pretty tight
We
relationship
do,
nowadays.
yeah. That's the big homie. Yeah, she's married, got 5 kids. So I get to be that cool uncle. Go back in the holidays and
So no kids yourself yet?
Nah, not yet. Someday it'd be cool to have a few kids. I feel like I'd be a good dad. But right now I've been focused on the work. But I would love to have kids.
Did you ever feel pressure like to join the army or then Navy or?
I don't know. I don't really feel like I felt
Air
that
Force?
pressure. I feel like my parents they experienced the racism in the military and some of the hardships, and they were proud to serve and to give in the way they did, but they were also they were honest about it with me and my sister, and so I was like, nah, I ain't trying to do all of that. And I serve in a different way. I serve through the arts, I serve through teaching, and I think everyone has their role and responsibility, whatever ways they want to give back, and that's my way. And shout out to all the people who find that for whatever way works for them.
Did you have to call your mama ma'am and daddy sir and stuff?
They
Make
did
your bed
instill,
right, all that?
Yeah, it was
Tight
pretty
sheets.
strict. And my mom's an immigrant too, a Jamaican immigrant. So high standards.
Right.
I say she's persnickety.
Persnickety.
It's endearing way to say that, but high standards for sure.
So the older you got and you got into junior high and high school, did you take extracurricular classes that revolved around writing and poetry and things of that nature?
Absolutely, yeah. That became my life. I fell in love with this. So every chance I got, I would go to we had the poetry club. We had I got into theater, was in some plays. I started doing open mics too. Open mics were a really big part of my life because that's where I got to. It's kind of like the battlegrounds. You train, you're gonna know if people were rocking with you or not at the open mic. You could tell, right? And so I did all these open mics. Yeah, to sharpen, refine, and hone my craft. And then I started hosting open mics too. I've been doing that for maybe 20 years or something.
You're still hosting them?
Yeah. So I hosted a big one in North Minneapolis called HQ. It was the Harrison Healing Harmony in the Harrison neighborhood, and we did that after the police killing a Jamar Clark in our community. We're grieving. We needed a space just to let out all the heaviness that we're holding. And so me and some of the homies, we started an open mic, and we did that for 4 years straight.
Wow.
Okay.
Up until the pandemic, and that thing, kind of got a little hard to push through during the pandemic. But even then, we kept creating space for people. But that's been a big part of my life for sure.
Did your parents raise you in the church?
They did. Yeah, that's a huge part of my life too. Yeah. Absolutely.
What
Black
denomination was it?
Kojic.
Kojic. I'm not familiar.
It's a Church of God in Christ. It's Pentecostal.
Okay.
So I got some of that Pentecostal background.
What's
I feel
Pentecostal?
Just to break it down. So a way to describe it, they talk a lot about the Holy Spirit, right? If you ever seen churches with the Hammond B3 organ, the tambourine, people jumping and shouting, clapping and praising, that was my life. I said we went to church 8 times a week.
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying?
Man, dang.
Like every day and then twice on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? I'm not as deep in it as now, but that's still a part of I'm a very spiritual person, a person of faith, but I think I kind of found my own way, my own path. It's not exactly the same as what I came up in, but I studied. I say I'm a truth seeker. I'm always trying to dig as deep as possible to get to the core, to the essence. And so that's been my journey. But grateful for my parents for giving me that foundation.
Right.
Yeah.
When we look at these books, what's the timeline on these? Which one was your first?
So the very first one was We Rise Higher. I wrote
here.
that. Yep, 3 years ago.
Okay.
And that was amazing to get that opportunity because I had a untraditional route to being a published author. Like I was out touring across the country. I'd already been to like every state in the United States over the course of like nearly 10 years. Just, going to churches, going to schools and nonprofits, businesses, just teaching and performing. And the one of the folks from the publishing company saw the work that I was doing with youth. And they're like, yo, you're really making an impact. And we want to have an offering for youth who are graduating, but we ain't really feeling like any of the things out there for youth who are graduating. It's like, it's kind of whack.
Yeah.
Like, this is my paraphrasing of it, right?
Right.
But they're like, yeah, there's just not a lot of good stuff for youth out there. And they're like, but we feel like you got what it takes to create something. I was like, you think so? For real? I was like, yo, I'm up for the challenge. I'm up for it. So let me try it out. And so I wrote We Rise Higher with that in mind. Like, what did I need when I was younger?
Ooh, okay.
And that's like one of the best sellers right now. It's like 20,000 copies nationwide, which is wild.
20,000 copies.
Yeah, for
That's
poetry
wild.
too.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
crazy to
It's
think there's
blowing my mind.
20,000 people that
Yeah.
have read your stuff.
And these are physical copies or is it digital too?
Yeah, all physical, no digital at all. Yeah. And
that's
there's
what's
been a
up.
request for like, cause I'm a spoken word artist. Like I do rap, I do spoken word, I do music, and so like I want to do an audio book eventually. Then I probably will do an audio of all of these. But right now, what's circulating are just these physical copies.
Will you use your own voice, or are you gonna get like Morgan Freeman or something?
I mean, y'all got a nice voice too.
Use
you know
his
what I'm
voice.
We rise higher.
Hey, that's not even bad. I'm not even mad
Andy
about
Dufresne. That's also so when you publish this book, like how are you feeling, man? I mean, that's got to be a huge accomplishment for your first book to be published and everything.
Yeah. I was nervous.
Yeah.
Like I was super nervous. I didn't know what to expect. I went through like all the emotions. Like I was excited, then I was like anxious and depressed, had imposter syndrome, had the self-sabotage happening.
Right.
Like all of that, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like to be transparent, it was tough. Cause I was like, man, I know people rock with me when I'm on the stage. I get the immediate feedback.
Right, yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
they're snapping or clapping. I do a call and response. I do the vibe check. I can feel the energy in the room. I know when I'm as a live artist, right?
Yeah.
But when you put the words on the page, it's like, okay, is this even hitting? Like, I don't know. Like, it's not. Isn't there? Are they
It's
gonna hear
like when
my
you're
voice?
reading like a text, like you're worried about like how is that being interpreted and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So that was in the back of my mind the whole time, and then thankfully, it still translates and people are still receptive. So that's what I've heard from so many people. So
So,
That's what's up, bro.
what was the creative process for that first book? Did you already have a bunch of stuff in your head and stuff written down that you just kind of put in a great format, or did you have to like sit down and like come up with it? Like, what's the creative process? How do you come up with this? This is amazing stuff,
No,
man.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's both, to be honest with you. So with that one in particular, the first one, I had maybe like half of the poems like already written. I was performing them, and so I had those. But a lot of them, I just had to create the time and space to sit down and really, it's like a meditative process. For me, writing feels really meditative and really like almost spiritual and sacred because I feel like I'm a vessel. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think my writing is only as good as my listening, right? And I'm listening to like, what I feel like the Most High is pouring through me. I'm listening to the stories of people that I talk to in my community, right? And I got to be really attentive. I want to honor that space because whatever comes out, that's the gold right there. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
yeah. But it's about like actively, intentionally creating the space for it. And so I have a practice of just carving out that time and letting the magic happen.
20,000 copies. I want
I
to go
know, it's
back
still
to that.
blowing my
That's
mind. I
awesome,
ain't
bro.
gonna hold you.
Huge congrats to you on that.
Indeed,
Thank
indeed.
you.
How can people, if somebody wanted to purchase your book, how can they purchase it?
Yeah, so all three books are published from Spark House. So you can go to the website Spark House. You'll get like deals on discounts if you want to do like a bulk. Sometimes people will buy that particular We Rise Higher first book for like their graduating class or something. They'll get like hundreds of copies or whatever. So Spark House, or you can get it from my website, joedavispoetry.com. Some people like to do it that way because then they can get a signed copy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you can put it when you're ordering it, like
pretty
sign it.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. So those are the two best ways. And then, you can get them everywhere else, like, Amazon and like, but you ain't really got to
we're focusing on the smaller businesses.
Right.
We're helping them out. We don't need Jeff Bezos right now.
He don't need no more of our money.
Right.
So the editor, was he or she pretty pleased with what that first book you came out with?
Yeah. It was a beautiful process. Like, I think, man, I don't even know how to like, I got this blessed. But like they were on the phone and on Zooms with me through the entire process, and they gave me so much creative freedom. Like with what I was writing, I was send back things, and they would give me some minor edits and stuff. But like, yo, you're the expert, you're the artist. Like, we trust you.
Yeah,
right.
And then even with the design of every book, all three of them, they allowed me to be part of that process as well. And I know that's not always the case. Sometimes it's like, hey, this is the cover, whether you like it or not. This is what we doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they were super open in that, so that was smooth. Like I'm super grateful for the collaborative partnership we've had. Yeah. So yeah, they were pleased with it, and that's why they're like, "Yo, you want to keep rocking with us? Hey, you got another book in you?" And that's when I came out with "Remind Me Again."
So that's your second one.
So you're partnered. You've been partnered with them through all your books.
I have. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they black owned or?
They're not. Yeah, I think it's like probably multiracial folks who are there, but the publisher I was working with, the main person, she's not a black person, but she's amazing.
Yeah.
So, Remind Me Again, that's more poems and practices. And then the third one, are those poems also?
Yeah, so I got in this rhythm of creating not just poetry, but also practices to go with them.
I like that a lot, man.
Yeah,
I thought it was very helpful.
So when you say poems and practices, is that like you breaking down your poems?
So it's like a practice that is related to the poem, but allows people to go deeper within themselves, deeper in the community. Because I care a lot about like not just what's on the page, like the words on the page,
the impact,
but how do you apply it to your life? How do you have everyday practices? Because to me, it's like, yo, if I wanna go on a self-improvement journey, and I'm on YouTube and I'm watching the calisthenics videos, I'm that's dope. I'm watching all them do all these tricks and stuff. I'm gonna do that. I keep watching the video. That's not gonna give me a six pack. You know what I'm saying? Like, just watching it. Like, how do you apply it? How do you develop a healthy like rhythm of practice? Like, that's what I really care about a lot. And so that's what I've been inviting people into. Is like, yo, this poem is talking about like healing. It's talking about how to cultivate a deeper sense of joy or hope. But how do you actually do that? Instead of just reading about it, how do you have a practice in your life?
Right.
That can be like kind of a spiritual calisthenics type of vibe, you know what I'm saying? And so I try to find cool, fun, creative ways that anybody can do, like all ages. So that's that's kind of one of my commitments is like every poem I have has a practice. So these last two books in particular really lean at that. I do have some practices in the first one as well, but I really started getting heavy with it with the second one. So
yeah, you kind of coined a phrase, I believe, a wellspring of well-being.
Yeah.
Can you explain that to us? And
Absolutely.
what does that mean exactly?
Yeah, and so like I said, I'm a real spiritual person. It's my belief that deep down inside each and every one of us, we got this wellspring of well-being. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. I think there's a space that we can get to inside of ourselves where there's just peace, there's just calm, and like a sense of confidence and knowing, right? So other people got different names for it, right? Whether you call it like your intuition or your higher self, the most high. Like, I'm a poet, so I love language, and I love that we all have different ways to talk about different experiences. I think that's smooth. Sometimes people get upset about like, oh, you gotta call it whatever I call it. I'm like, nah, it's cool, whatever you call it, man. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You know, but that's my belief, my theory, and I say that because like I've experienced it myself personally many times, and then when I've been in practice with other people too.
Right.
If I'm doing like meditation, or if I'm doing prayers, if I'm doing yoga, whatever it might be, I think we can all access that space within ourselves. You know?
I like that.
Yeah.
Do you like every songwriter, every artist, they always have like that one go-to where like this is the one I'm most proud of. Do you have a poem that you or is that's a tough one?
It is tough,
because
but
I mean you got 3 books of them, so like
I
that's
know.
probably a lot.
So how about this for the new year?
Yeah.
Is there a specific poem in here that resonates and kind of could be the forefront of the new year?
Ooh, I mean, so immediately when you asked that question, what came to mind was my poem "Show Up." That's probably my most popular poem, and I've been performing it for like, man, I don't even remember how many years now. but every single time I feel like something special, something sacred, something like just moves when I put that piece out into the universe. And so I think that still hits, and that's still needed. Like, we gotta show up. That's one of the most important things we can do.
So at the Black Authors Expo, I showed up to. You were doing a poem, and was that show up?
I think that I did that at the end. At the very end.
It was very inspirational, man. It was awesome to be at that expo because I just felt like it just felt good, man. Just being around a bunch of people that look like me, and for like all the positivity. Like, I left there, texted Jay, man. Like, I feel good, man. I feel energized. I need to do this more often.
Do you have anyone like done your poetry?
Yeah,
so like you have someone else. Is it weird when you see someone like performing your poem? Like, wow, that's wild.
I love it. I love it, actually. So it didn't start happening until I started putting these books out into the world, and I'll get like videos. Like, a parent will send me a video, be like, "Yo, my daughter just did your poem for her graduation speech."
Wow.
Or something. I'll be looking at the video like with tears in my eyes. Like, oh, that's amazing. Like, I love it because that shows they're connecting to it. Right. It's meaningful and impactful, and they put their own unique signature spin on it, and that's what I love about art too, is like it's open to interpretation. So people will bring their own lived experience to it, their own like how they like to say things, and it might not be how I would say it, how I would do it, but it's their own thing. And so I love that.
If you don't mind, how old are you?
I'm 38.
38.
Damn,
bro,
son. You age gracefully.
Hey, thank you, brother. Thank you.
My 26-year-old's at my crib, man, and we went on a deep dive. We hopped on YouTube yesterday, and we watched a bunch of your videos spanning back 9 years to the present.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
My son and I were having conversations, and he was like, "How old do you think this guy?" I was like, "He looks like a young man, but us black folks,
say like
man,
26 or something." You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Damn, wow. So
I made a promise.
Work.
I made a promise to myself, probably when I was getting close to 30 or whatever. I was like, yo, I'm just going to get like flyer every year. Like, I don't care. It's like a mental thing for me. They say age is a mindset. And so I'm like, yo, no matter what age I am, every year I want to level up. I want to become better looking. I'm going to become smarter, wiser. I'm going to like become more compassionate. I'm going to be more rooted and grounded and connected. And so that's kind of like my life mission for myself. Like,
that's what, like, it's crazy you say that, because like I was just talking about that with my wife, that all these people get so worried about getting older. Like, oh, I'm getting old. I can't say I can't get up. I'm tired all the time. But like, I was worried getting older. But like now, I'm excited. You know, each year that goes by, like you're saying, there's been more growth. There's been more wisdom you're accumulating, and your life experiences start to bear deeper meanings, you know, and you start to really reflect on yourself, and the growth that comes from that is just awesome. So keep growing, everybody.
Hey,
keep growing.
It's a
you
gift.
Know what I mean?
It's a gift, yo. I'm still leveling up. I ain't even in my prime yet.
Yeah.
I ain't even in my prime yet. I'm telling you.
There you go.
Telling you.
Hey, man, would it be weird and asking too much to have you read that poem?
I would love to.
I actually,
Awesome.
I was
dude.
thinking the same thing. Good call.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Appreciate
I got this one memorized, so you know.
You got it memorized.
Yeah, I really do.
Okay.
I perform this one a lot. So.
Well, you could always make sure you look at that occasionally.
Okay, smooth.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, show up. So this is something I feel we need now more than ever. There's a lot of craziness in the world. A lot of people are feeling all the things. But I think the most beautiful, powerful thing you can do is show up unapologetically as your fullest self. So that's what this poem was about. We've each been called to this place, this time and this season. You may not yet know the rhyme or the reason. You may not feel, think, or believe in the same things I believe in. But we've been asked to show up. Show up wherever you are from. You can come here to be free. Bring your full self, both your head and your heart, your hands and your feet, anything and everything infinitely beyond any duality, your sexuality, gender, race, age, or ability. We all have the ability to be. Without you, I am incomplete. Without you, there's no we. I need you not just to survive, but to thrive, to come fully awake and alive with potential and possibility. Join me at the table, for it is wide and there's lots of food to eat. So show up and be fed and feed others, satiating a different kind of hunger, fueling the fire in our bellies. No matter what journey you're on, where you've been or what you've done, all will be well when we're all welcome to laugh, cry, dance, write, breathe, and bleed into the margins and follow the call into the first reaches of who we are. Whether you run, walk, crawl, even if you fall, we fall in love. But just show up. Show up to answer a call to justice, to transform both the soul and the bodily world the soul inhabits. Show up with all your awkwardness and bad habits. Show up with your doubts and with your questions. Knowing here, you can ask them. Show up with your wounds and your scars. We all have baggage. But know that together, we can unpack them. This is no mistake. You're not here by accident. You're here to share the stories of your sacred passage. You are the only you that ever has been. You are not the magician. You are the magic. So show up to this place here where there's no grace period. There's only grace period. Bring your fears and insecurities. Let us marvel in the mystery. Let us listen each other to life with a deep holy listening. Can you hear it? Can you hear it? That's the sound of the genuine within you. The spirit stirring near you. But if you don't show up, how can anyone hear you? Show up. Even if you don't know for certain. You may have the truth and healing for which this world is searching. In this grand universe, we are but small workers, but with a big purpose because of our hearts widening the circle. Hearts that are broken, hearts that are open, so a little light can shine through, a little hope for the hopeless. Wherever you go, simply know the spirit of this place goes with you. So go. Ready with sleeves rolled up, always growing, never fully grown up. Ready with all your heart, mind, body, and soul, simply to show up.
Hey,
Wow.
It is right there.
Thank you for that,
Goosebumps.
Keep showing up, keep showing up, keep
Kudos,
showing up,
brother.
y'all.
Hey, that was
Kudos,
powerful,
man.
man.
Appreciate y'all for real.
That was powerful. I can't wait to like release that clip alone. You know what I mean? Y'all are gonna love that, man.
Yeah.
Wow, so you really do take your poetry to a whole new level,
Absolutely.
and I love I love the passion in it, man. The
Thank you.
passion really, every word just really kind of impacts. So
Yeah.
hats off to you, bro.
Hey, love, respect, bro. Yeah. It's like
Indeed.
it's in me, man. When you gotta live it. It's like this isn't just like I said. It's not. I'm not writing for a living. I'm writing for my life. Like
Yeah.
this is beyond just the poetry. I say I use poetry to power possibility. So for me, the art is a catalyst,
Right.
for transformation, for
I use
revolution.
the
you know?
poetry to power positivity.
Yeah.
Damn.
All of that.
That's
all
real.
of that.
I like that,
Yeah.
man.
So do you have a day job, or is this what you do for a living?
Full time.
Full-time?
Yep. So I travel across the country, live in North Minneapolis. I got that North Side pride. Like I love North Minneapolis. I always say, oh, I got a tat. You know, me and my homies, we got a tat together, N4L, North Side for life.
Hey,
And
there
so,
you
because
go.
North Side, I say I wasn't raised in the North Side, but North Side raised me. Wasn't made in the North Side, but North Side made me. And so, like when I moved there, it helped me become, you know, a better artist, a better human being. So it really shaped me. I did a lot of community organizer training there. Just had a deep sense of connection to the people and the culture. And so, but that's like my second home, right? And then I tour across the country, get the chance to do a lot of teaching, a lot of performances, everywhere.
I saw a music video of yours. It's called "Stay True."
Yeah.
You had Walter Chancellor
Oh, that's
Senior.
my guy. Yeah, that's my homie,
So
man.
he's actually on our list. We want to
Oh,
get him
smooth.
on the podcast,
Bet.
man. You think you could put in
Yeah,
a
I
good
can at
word
least
for
ask him.
us,
I got his
man?
number.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with KG Wilson. He had a granddaughter that got shot in the head while eating a Happy Meal on 26 and Penn.
Yep.
And he had an angelversary for her where he was holding a casket, you know, walking down the street.
That was powerful. Boy.
Yeah, Walter was there playing the saxophone.
Yeah.
That's how I got familiar with
Yeah.
him, and ever since then we kind of been having our eye on him, man.
Oh man, you got to get him here. I feel like he would love to be here. He's one of the OGs. Like he to me is a living legend.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all know too much about him, but he used to rock with Prince.
Okay.
Yeah, he was friends with Prince. He helped him produce one of his platinum selling albums. And
Wow.
yeah. So deep in the game as far as jazz musician, he's iconic. Absolutely love Walter Chancellor Jr. So yeah, hopefully you can get him on the show. At the very least, I could call him up and be like, "Yo, I'll show him this episode." And be like, "Yo, you're gonna love it." So yeah.
Love to hear his creative
It's at
process.
20 minutes in, 28 minutes in. So if you see this, bro, hit your boys up. When we talk about instruments, do you play any?
I play a little bit of keys, a little bit of drums.
Oh, okay.
I got like music flowing through me, but I always say the artists that I work with, like Walter Chancellor junior and the other cats I work with, they're like such high caliber.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, I'm gonna stay in my lane. I'm gonna do the poetry, but I do kind of like dictate or share some of the stuff that flows through me, and then they take it to the next level. They make it like I like to say I'm the least talented person in my band.
Oh,
You know what
wow.
I'm saying? Real talk.
Damn, and you're
Real talk.
talented.
Real talk.
Yes, that says a lot right there.
You know, I'm so grateful to be rocking with the folks I rock with. Like we've been in the band for like 8 years now,
Right.
9 years. And Walter, like he's so busy, we don't always get him, but whenever we can, we groove with him. And then we got I don't know if I should go through the whole. I could go through the whole squad, right? We got the A1 since day one is my guy Nia Gente Mensah. He's from Ghana. He's a multi-instrumentalist, but a lot of times he'll djembe, bass, he be beatboxing.
Yeah.
And we got Travion Dunlap on the drums. He plays drums and he sings. And then Amani Waters, she a little shorty. She's like small, but she could blow. Like you wouldn't expect like the powerhouse vocals to come out of her. That's like the core of the group that we started like 8-9 years ago. And then we started like having more of a collective. So we have a few different keyboardists that we work with, a lot with Theo Brown and Ryan Bynum, Keys Williams. And then we got on the horn, we got Omar Abdul Karim. I think you might have seen him. He was at the Black Artist Expo. He was playing. Did he come out to that one? I think the brother who came out for that one was Butchie Austin, who plays with Black Solidarity in the South Side over here. He plays they play at George Floyd Square.
Oh, okay,
So,
yeah.
he rocks with us
the brass
sometimes, too.
band or whatnot.
Yup,
I've seen that a few times
Yeah.
up there, man.
So we rock with some of them, and we just rock with so many people, man. It's beautiful. I don't want to miss anybody, man. We got and then on the violin, sometimes we got my boy Ernest.
I love
Ernest
violin.
Bison,
The
yeah.
sound of the violin.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
Wu-Tang feel.
Right? Yeah.
You a Wu-Tang fan?
Of course. Why do you not
Sorry,
love the
man.
Wu-Tang?
Quit yelling at me.
I think if you don't like the Wu-Tang, I'm worried about what's
Hip
wrong
hop
with
ain't
you.
for you if you don't like Wu-Tang.
Right, I'm saying.
So 9 years you've been.
Yeah.
Do you guys have albums?
So
and
we are
stuff
about
out?
to drop. That's one of the reasons why I'm so geeked about talking about it. We're about
Yeah.
to drop our first album. So like I produce a lot of music that's been on like my solo albums, and they've been a big part of that.
Yeah.
We've never done an album as a collective, and so we're dropping our debut album. We're still working on it, so we don't know the precise drop date,
yeah.
but we're looking at releasing it this year. So
That's what's up.
Do you guys all collaborate together to come up with the theme, or do you curate the whole thing? Or
yeah, I'm like the front man, the director, the curator, but
Yeah.
then I'm highly collaborative in my process. Like I really believe like whatever I got is dope, but
Yeah.
we gonna make it doper
Yeah, you
together.
got it.
You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
So I'll throw something in the pot, but then they all throw something, and then we got that jambalaya that's smacking. You know what I mean?
Hey,
So,
hey,
yeah,
hey,
yeah,
what's
yeah,
up?
So you just got back from out of town. You did a conference in where?
It was Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's next, man? What can we show up to? What can people
Yeah.
watching this show up to?
Man, I got so much going on, so I'm grateful to have pretty steady booking like around this time of year, especially. You know, just got finished with MLK, some amazing events for MLK, and then Black History Month's coming up.
It is.
So I'm trying to think of like the best way, honestly, to keep up with me would be through my website, joedavispoetry.com.
Yeah.
Or Joe Davis Poetry on any social media, and I post what I got going on, what I got coming up. I'm trying to think of like the next thing that somebody could pop up to. Man, I don't even know. I gotta pull out the calendar and
Yeah,
look.
you
man. It's like,
be sure to reach out to us, and you know whatever
yeah,
you're
yeah,
promoting, we can always put on our website or our
Absolutely.
Facebook as well, and everything like that. And I mean, it's really cool, man, to have you here because for one, we have been getting a lot of authors. So we've had a couple that was surrounded around surviving suicide,
Yeah.
people who've suffered a lot of loss, and they talk about the mental health standpoint of that. And to have a young black author up in here is very powerful too. Do you mind kind of diving in a little bit to the mental health side? Like,
Yeah.
how has it ever impacted you, like mental health wise, like inspired you as far as writing your books? And
Yeah.
is there anything that you've been through in your life that kind of helped, like what'd you call it, like the catalyst?
Was there a
you know?
catalyst? That
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So even when I was sick as a kid, man, it's like that was a heavy time. That was some of the most like scariest, confusing times in my life. I had suicide ideation during that time. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I'm a very optimistic, positive person. But when I go back and look, I still have stacks of some of my notebooks when I was a kid. Some of that stuff was kind of dark.
Kinda
you know what I'm
dark,
saying?
yeah.
It wasn't always like rainbows and everything. It was like some dark clouds that I had to push through. And art helped me process that, metabolize that. And what I didn't realize when I use the word metabolize too, I'm really intentional about that, because what I learned later on after doing the studying that I have is that there's what's called art therapy or even logo therapy. Logo therapy it was coined by this cat, Viktor Frankl. He survived Nazi internment camps, right? His whole family did not survive, but he survived, and he became a psychotherapist. He coined the term logotherapy, meaning using words, logo, right? To write your way, write new meaning, and to process and metabolize your trauma. So there's a science behind using writing, using poetry, using painting, using theater and music and dance to express. But it's also like this way of like moving through the trauma that you hold in your body. So I've done a lot of training around that. Like I have some trauma responsive training that I've done. I've worked with Resma Minicum, so shout out to him. He's one of my mentors and teachers I caught on to early. One of his most popular books, one of my favorite books, I highly recommend studying him and his work. But he has a book called My Grandmother's Hands. Yeah, My Grandmother's Hands. He has multiple books since then, but that was like his first really big one.
What's his name?
Resma Minicum. Yeah, so he's a black psychotherapist.
You gotta spell
that, son.
I got you.
Powerful name right
there.
there.
It really is. RESMAA.
MAA, gotcha.
Yeah. Menachem is MENAK. Menac. I gotta like see it in my head. KEM. Yeah.
And he's got socials as well and stuff.
He does,
to be able to find. Okay.
Yep. So if you just look at Resma, you'll find him right away. New York Times bestseller.
He Grandmother's Hands. That was a big one for you.
Yeah. So I studied under him before he really blew up. Like he's hard to get a hold of now. He used to be out in the North Side. I don't even know where he at anymore. I know you probably you see me say what's up.
Yeah.
But no, he's a huge influence on me and my work, because I would go and he would talk about how we got to pay attention to our bodies, because so much of the collective culture, like we've been taught just to pay attention to the neck up. We like live in our heads. Right. And for me, that resonated because when I was a kid, all the things that my body was experiencing, my body didn't feel like a safe place to be. You know what I'm saying? So I developed this way of escaping. Like, and my imagination was my first safe haven. Like I could live up here for hours. I had a rich inner world, a rich imagination, but I wasn't in touch with what was going on with the whole body, right? So Resma talks about, especially people of African descent, like we have like a cultural lineage of being connected to our body and the wisdom and the healing that's in our body. And it's like scientifically proven that you have to have at least 4,000 ancestors to have survived for you to be alive. So that means there's 4,000 people before you who made it through like war and famine and disease and colonization and genocide for you to even be alive.
And that's a miracle.
It really is.
In itself. You know what I mean?
Man,
what are the chances?
Really. No, that's beautiful. That's exactly what I sit in awe of that, right? And then when you dig into like the science behind it, Resma would talk about the genetic information that's encoded in your DNA.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah. So he would talk about epigenetics. So epigenetics is another thing. If you're not familiar with it, I highly recommend just Googling it, just typing it in. Epigenetics, EPIGEN. I'm trying. It's hard to spell without writing it, but genetics, right? GENETICS, right?
Got it.
But it just studying, that means like around the genes, like the gene expression. And so what's occurring to our ancestors, we go way, way, way back, and things that happen to our ancestors, even though they're not happening to us, we'll still have behavioral patterns. So for example, like one thing he would talk about, he did some therapy with folks who were in wars, who would go overseas, like in Iraq or something, where they're always getting like their bases getting shot up or something. They got to dodge everything and all the missiles. And then you come back home, a brother will come back home and he's just waiting on the bus, right? And he hears the bus door open up. And like I don't know what a missile sounds like, but apparently like that's triggered, what a missile sounds like. And so he gets triggered and he jumps over the nearest like garbage bin or something, because he feels like he's back in a war zone, right? His body remember that. That's just like in this lifetime, right? That our body remembers those sorts of things.
Response trauma almost.
Right? Yeah, these bodily responses. But you take it back to even like slavery, for instance, right? So the way they tested this out was they would take these rats. I don't know why they always messing with rats, right? Like they ain't do nothing else. But they would take these rats and they would They get them close to cherry blossoms, and when they got close to the cherry blossom, they would electrocute them, like just zap them. They got to the cherry blossom. No, that's
messed up, man.
Right? But then those rats had babies, and then those babies got older and had babies. And generations later, the rats, when they even smelled cherry blossoms,
They
would start to twitch.
Wow.
They would start to twitch.
That's super interesting.
Yeah,
man.
and so they call it. Joy DeGruy Leary wrote a book called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. She talks about slavery and how what happened during slavery impacted our ancestors' minds and bodies, and how we still have certain behavioral patterns that are expressions of what occurred to them.
Right.
And so that's
So
why.
you're saying like trauma could travel through the DNA almost?
Absolutely.
Wow,
Absolutely.
that is wild.
Yeah.
So we have a very rich history.
Yes.
We also have a very traumatic history.
Yeah.
So how does that all come together?
Yeah, I promise
man?
you. Yeah, it's a journey, right? It's a journey. So I'm working towards
yeah,
it. So
my bad.
No, it's beautiful. This I love this conversation. This is like, I'm super passionate about this. So everything, like,
Yeah.
I love the back and forth.
Yeah.
Like, and so because that trauma can travel through our lineage, through our bloodline, through our DNA, we have that body memory. We also have the body memory of how to survive it. Right? They talk about like the post-traumatic syndromes and all that, but they don't always talk about like the resilience as well.
Right.
And that's what my grandmother's hands is about, because when he was a kid, he would sit in his grandmother's arms and he would see the calluses on her fingers. He's like, "Grandma, what are these calluses from?" She's like, "Oh, that's from picking cotton." And like he didn't fully grasp it as a kid, but that was her body's way, like having these really strong hands full of calluses, but that was her body protecting her from like when you pick the cotton, getting the cuts, right? And so our bodies, everything our bodies do is to protect us and keep us safe, right? So that is when I talk about mental health, when I talk about like the wellspring of well-being, like that's like one of the most powerful reminders to me, because sometimes we can beat ourselves up.
Right.
People are like, "Oh, why am I doing this one thing that doesn't feel helpful or whatever?" Like we have these patterns, but to always come back to that reminder that no matter what your body is doing, even if it doesn't seem like it's helpful, in a certain context, that might have been the best thing that your body could do for you, right? And so the key is learning when it's helpful and when it's not helpful, and creating the space to like really learn and explore and discover like, okay, these are patterns that really are contributing to my well-being, and these are patterns it's not really helping me, so I can maybe reshape it and find something new. Right? But that's been my journey, like my young adult life and into now. And I hope to invite other people to like just learn about it, just get
It's
curious.
Incredibly interesting, man.
Yeah.
Shit, I'm in my 40s and I'm just like understanding this. And you said it's called epigenetics?
Yes. Yeah.
Epigenetics.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Highly recommend just tapping in whatever ways, man. It's changed my life.
How'd you learn these
that's-
things, man?
So again, like big shout out to Resma, but also just doing a lot of self-study too.
Yeah.
Learning for myself, like coming from that childhood where I was really traumatized by the health issues that I had, and wanting to heal and be my best version of myself, and just impact people. So I was like, yo, let me dig deep into this. And
Yeah,
that's what's
and
up.
so I just reading a lot, watching every documentary I can get, and podcast. And
Yeah.
I'm the type of person, like I said, I'm a truth seeker. I have an insatiable desire just to learn and to level up. Like
That's
literally,
it.
I'm
That
just always,
makes three of us, bro.
I feel it.
I make
Short
three of
arms,
us.
man. Got short arms.
Tyrannosaurus Rex arms.
So when we talk about mental health, just for a lot of our viewers and listeners, we met Joe at the Shout Out Loud. Was it the 4th or 5th?
I forgot.
I think it might have been the 4th annual
Okay.
Shout Out Loud Suicide and Prevention Awareness, right behind him and stuff. How did you come about that? Like,
Yeah. There was a friend who was helping organize it, and she reached out to me. She knew I was doing this work. She knows that I've like traveled across the country kind of doing this stuff, and she's like, "Are you still doing it like locally? Can you come to this? Can you make it to this? Are you available?" I was like, "Bet, I'm there. Say less." Like if I'm free on my calendar, I want to support. She told me about the whole movement. I think that particular wellness festival, that was for like, there was the kid who like committed suicide, right? And his family wanted to create awareness. If I'm not mistaken,
Laura
I think that-
Dizon, her brother, completed suicide,
Yeah.
and so she's the one that got it started. And Dr. Lisa Lovelace is involved. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think she's just like more stronger within the organization of it, and we got to double check on the personal experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to honor that for sure.
But they're definitely both wonderful human beings.
Yeah,
Shout out to both of y'all. We've been partnering with them for the last few years, and like Gina and I always say, we hold mental health dear to our hearts because we've had our own set of traumas we've been through. We also know a lot of folks that's been through so much trauma, man. So it's just so important that we continue to have these kind of conversations,
Indeed.
especially for Black and brown folks out there.
I was
and
gonna
let
say
them
that.
know like it's okay to talk about this.
Absolutely.
And dude, you do so freaking well, man. You're so articulate, and like you said, like we do a lot of leveling up here, y'all. And but we getting a lot of stories from folks. We've been getting it. So, but today for me, it feels so much more leveling up. Like I'm learning a lot, man.
Word, respect,
it's such an awesome teacher, bro. Have you ever did teaching? Like, have you ever done it? Okay.
Yeah. I don't have like a teaching certificate or anything like that, but I'm a teacher at heart. Like, I teach all the time. I usually get hired as a teaching artist, so I'll go in and do residencies for like I'll do anything from like an couple hour long session to like couple week long residencies, wherever people are calling me. But I think it's because I had so many great teachers too. Man. I gotta shout out all the teachers in my life who made me who I am, and that's why I want to keep giving back, because I am who I am because of them.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of, have you ever done like prisons or anything like that? Gone there? That's what's up.
That's my favorite. I don't know if did I ever tell you? Did I tell y'all that already? No cap. Like literally, my favorite residencies that I ever do are with youth who are incarcerated. So I've been doing one. I just got back from one a couple weeks ago. Youth correctional facility in Mandan, North Dakota, which is one of the most restrictive facilities in the area. And so I did like a week-long residency with these young scholars. I like to call them scholars because a lot of times they're dehumanized, they're stigmatized just because of some choices they made or because they're coming from bad environments. They don't got a lot of options. And so I go in there with like my only agenda. I'm like, yo, like, yes, I'm teaching you art. I'm teaching you performance. We're talking about hip hop. We having a good time.
Yeah.
But I'm here to just kick it with you and let you know that you're loved, that you're worthy. That, like, I don't care what anybody's trying to put in your head, right? I'm like, yo, you have a future. Like, you have potential. You have purpose. Because they don't get that a lot. You know what I'm saying? And so.
Usually, I personally haven't been there to experience myself, but I know there's like people that go there and they really try to push things on them. It really just kind of sounds like you're just there letting them know, I know you exist. I know you, but I love you anyway. And you are so much more than what society makes you out to be. So huge props to you on that, bro. That's awesome, man.
Let me tell you something about Jay, man. Is like he does hip hop and poetry. He did more back in the past than he does now. One of his alter ego names was Poetic.
Yeah,
we all call him Poetic.
He
has that poet. Would you ever be interested, man, in showing up to one of these open mics and bringing it back?
Not be interested. It's been a while since I've been on stage when it comes to that. You know what I mean? I got to make sure my energy is the same like it used to be. But no, we had a group called Midwest. And that was like, man, we looking at like 15, 20 years now. But like
Red Sea, Blue Nile.
I know about the Blue Nile.
Yeah,
I used to rock heavy with the Blue Nile.
It's crazy that you said that, because like as soon as you start saying open mic poetry, like that's one of the first places came to mind. Because I remember when we would go there before our performances, we'd see they got that upstairs and then the open mic downstairs. And I love the Blue Nile. I thought that was a really dope.
It was
feel
a vibe,
there.
Yeah. Hey, have you been to Snapped open mic at Green Room?
No.
I think that's the new vibe now. Like it's on Thursday nights. Starts about like 8 p.m. I'm actually, so if you talk about what people could tap into, I'm doing a feature there. It's like the 27th or something like that. I'm doing a feature performance.
February?
Yeah, February. Whatever that last Thursday is, I want to say it's the 27th. But
and it's called what?
It's called Snapped open mic. So they got live band. It's a groove, like that similar type of energy where you go and it's packed. Usually pack wall to wall. They got food, drinks. Just kick it, have a good time.
Dude, that's awesome, man. We did it for a while. We released a few albums, and what we loved about our group was that, shout out to Ready Red. He was
Red.
our other artist that we had there. And the cool thing about us is that it reminded me a lot of like, Big Boy and Andre 3000, just two totally different styles.
Those two my favorite.
Yeah,
real,
and Red had this real street gutter to him, you know what I mean? And he lived a lot rough life too, gang shit and and for me, mine was really like street poetry, you know what I mean? And like so I wrote on the mental health side, and I think that's what our listeners really enjoyed is that they got a little bit of both. And I love that you brought up the whole mental health side because to me, when I was writing, it was a choice to become poetic. You know what I mean? I grew up loving Nas and I love the way he told his stories. And still to this day, nobody can, touch Nas on that level, man. My opinion. And it just really blew me away how he was able to be so vivid with his words. And he always encouraged, like, you don't got to say the N word this time. You don't got to cuss all the time to really get your points across. And he would write these deep stories.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I would go. I would go and I feel like no one can tell your story better than you. And that was back before mental health was even really talked about as much. So a lot of people would hear it as dark music. They'd be like, damn, Jay's over here, preaching on suicide. And, you don't hear a lot of people of color that are talking about hurting themselves or surviving any kind of hardships like that, And so I thought it really bared a huge impact, when it came to that, dude.
Do you still write, Jay?
Yeah, I still every once in a while, if I'm in the mood or if I'm going through it. But like you said, you're going through the motions. The older you get, it's not that like I'm just not that guy no more. You know what I mean? And I've grown so much, so it's hard to go back to something like that. I don't want to go back to the old poetic. I'm trying to be the new version of who I am. You know what I mean? So who knows? Maybe y'all might see a collaboration.
Hey, let's get a cipher, baby.
I was thinking of
let's get a cipher
it'll
right
be
quick.
Smooth. It'll be smooth. just to see you with the pen, see you on the mic in whatever ways, like express yourself. Because like you said, you ain't got to go back to the oldest. You got something in you right now that needs that the people got to hear. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure it still comes out whenever y'all are doing the podcast. I'm sure even just the short time talking with y'all, I already caught the vibe. Like I can sense y'all's heart. I can sense y'all's like intentionality and people need that in whatever form you can get it. It'd be dope to hear the hip hop. Like I want to hear it. Real talk. I want to hear you spit. You know what I'm saying? But whatever ways you get it to the people.
I hate when I have to say this, but it's on SoundCloud. You know how they used to say SoundCloud rappers, but we come from way back before that. It was the only place I knew I could actually stream. But it's under Forever Poetic, and that has our first and second album on it, and then it's got some singles that I released throughout the time. And there were some hype songs on there. There were some street songs on there, but like my pride and joy came from that deep shit, man. I always loved when someone listens to your music and then re-listens to it, because there's so many messages they might miss. And when people tell you that, and Gene used to always give me props. He was like, Jay, you always like those tracks make you want to rewind it. Like, what the fuck you just say?
Right.
Damn, how do you get that wordplay like that? So,
I love it.
We'll look forward to maybe connecting about that. And for sure, looking into this, because I haven't been to an open mic, man, in forever. It'd be great to kind of see you there, man, and raw and.
Hey, you can sign up too. You know what I'm saying? Like we have a featured slot, so I'll have a chance to have my own set. But then you could sign up and do a couple joints. Like anybody who's in there could sign up and do something. So
right.
Hey, you be writing it all?
I do not, man. I'm too slow, man. My raps would be my shit would be real slow. You know,
you had some tracks though, man. We had some good nights when we were freestyling and stuff. Okay. His name back in the day was Mean Gene. Mean Gene.
Now I'm all nice. You know what I mean? Mediocre Gene.
You get older, switch it up a little bit.
Well, Joe, again, bro, this has been such a fun interview, dude, and it is so cool. I cannot wait for so many people to kind of see this, and huge congrats on all your success, dude. 3 books. Great. We saw your social medias. You got like 5K on Facebook. You got 7,000 on Instagram, and dog, those numbers are not easy to come by. We're still struggling at our like 100 and 200 something. Come on, y'all, show some love. But like, you could tell you've been grinding for a while, man. So mad respect to you.
You're a wonderful role model, dog.
Yeah.
And I like that in you, man. Like,
and I feel like it's still
the truth
just
to the youth. You know what I mean? That's what
Truth
it's all
to the
about.
youth,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I again going back to that whole visiting prisons and stuff. I'm really glad to hear that you do that, because like it came to when the more you were speaking, I was like, damn man, there can be some people out there that could really benefit from hearing about this. You know, there's so much of a blanket that they put on a society that they expect black and brown folks to be, and when someone comes out, say like yourself, you know. Young, intelligent, articulate, they feel like that's a rare commodity, and it's not. You know what I mean? It's just that's just because society pushes so much what they think black and brown folks supposed to look like, how they're supposed to act, man. So I just think it's a beautiful thing that we just keep unveiling that and show people that, you know, it's everywhere. You know, and so huge props to you, bro.
Would you like to go ahead and state your socials? And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm on everything as Joe Davis Poetry. So that's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, or whatever they got going over there. I'm still on that one. You know, I'm on everything. My mentality is I want to reach as many people as possible, make as big of an impact. So I'm on, YouTube, Joe Davis Poetry, all of those things. Or you can just go to joedavispoetry.com.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And we'll make sure we post that, y'all, on our Facebook, especially when the video drops. It takes a little bit, you know, maybe a week or so until it drops. But until then, we'll take a picture after here. And then you guys, I mean, like he said, go to Joe Davis Poetry. You can get all these books and all this information and understand his poems and practices and stuff.
And then
like
you
that.
could see his schedule, and like Joe would say, you know, if you want to be involved and participate in all this, just show up. He's gonna drop the dates on the calendar. All you gotta do is just show up and show support and love. You know what I'm talking about, man.
They could become a part of the one way to like be more intimately connected to the work is Patreon. So I have a Patreon where people can become monthly subscribers.
Yeah,
I gotta just tap in. So it's smooth. Yeah,
we gotta work on that too, man. I still try to wrap my head around what that is and Patreon and stuff like that.
People pay a monthly fee for what you're doing and shit.
Yeah.
So
it's
like
more
a
like exclusive access.
Almost?
Yeah, and there's different tiers too. So you can have anywhere from like, you could have a lower tier, like $5, $10, $20 for folks, and have certain offerings for that.
Yeah.
And then you have higher tiers, like if it gets to like $50, $100,
exclusive
more exclusive. Yeah, but it's you develop a relationship with the people who are contributing.
Okay.
People believe in you, believe in your work. They start to give on a more regular basis, and it's smooth. Highly recommend it. You can customize it and have whatever tiers you want and whatever offerings you want. It's definitely tap in if you can. It's super easy. Super easy.
Dude.
I'm happy to support y'all in it too. You know what I'm saying?
We appreciate it, man. Speaking of support, you know, we noticed on your Instagram, I mean, you got what, Georgia Ford? Was there like follows you, Nikema Armstrong?
Those are actually the homies. Like I could really say that for real. Like I love.
We're trying to get Nikema on too, man.
Yo, talk to me, man. I ain't gonna hold you. Like I am pretty well connected. I love the community. I love my people. Like
well, I think they
I can hit them
definitely
up.
see it in
I
you,
got
man.
them. I got their numbers.
I've gone to a couple of her book readings with my 8-year-old daughter, and she signed her book. You know, J is for Justice. She's a wonderful,
very strong,
wonderful human being.
Dude.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Joe, is there anything that you have to get out there that we missed, man, before we wrap it up?
Oh man, I'm super excited about this community that I'm developing. Actually, it's a lot of online content I've created around wellness through the arts. Find your freedom practice.
Okay.
And so like people can tap in the same ways that I already mentioned, like being a part of the Patreon, being on my website. But really, what it is I'm building a community of folks who really want to prioritize their mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Yeah. And so that's the new wave, and it's something that I'm really invested in and really building. There's going to be more to come, but there's already kind of a container for it that I want folks to be a part of. So,
that's what's up, brother.
So it's like it's just the beginning, even though you've
really
just been putting it. He's been doing it for
Hey, that's what leveling up is about, though. Right? Every time you get a level, you're like, oh, there's even more.
Yep, I love that, man. Well, Joe, thank you so much, bro, for taking your time out of your busy ass schedule to come hang out with us here on our show. Viewers and listeners, we hope you guys got a lot from this. And please, if you did love it, like, subscribe, do all that, share. But also, dig deep. Look into Joe Davis. Look under joedavispoetry.com. See what he's bringing to the table. And if you like it, just, you never know. this might change your direction, your path, where you're going. So again, man, from a dad, you know, knowing that you're so positive, such a positive impact on our youth, and so I say thank you for that. We really appreciate it.
Love and respect, baby.
Yeah, man. Gene, is there anything else you want to add?
That's it, dude. Thank you so much for being here, man. Appreciate it. I'm glad we met you. Everything happens for a reason.
Like we always say, we want to get you back on the show for sure.
Hey, whenever.
And we want to collab on other things.
Yeah, bro.
Like you hopping on that open mic.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it, man. Real talk. We gotta make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can spit any. Every rapper has a 16. You know what I'm saying? You got a 16 in your pocket. I already know.
Yep, you got it, man. So I got a couple in the chamber. So you know what I'm saying. So we'll see, y'all. You never know. We'll keep you posted.
Yeah.
Again, y'all, like always, that's Gene. I'm Jay. Y'all leveling up with Gene and Jay. Joe, thank you so much for being here. And we'll see y'all later.
Yes, peace and love.
Take care.
Sabi wrap it up. Sabi wrap it up. Sabi wrap it up with Chi.
Oh my